Welcome to the Color of Success podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie J. Wong. Many of us are feeling a wide range of emotions: sadness, anger, fear, sometimes hopelessness and helplessness. This season, we will be exploring all the feelings and ways to empower each other to take action. So, let's go. Game on. Samantha Ong is the founder of Joeydolls, a Canadian children's brand helping kids feel seen, proud, and connected through culturally representative dolls. What started out as a living room idea during the pandemic has grown into an international, self-funded brand. Joeydolls today includes it being founded and fully self-funded by a mom with no toy industry background. 18,000 plus dolls have been sold worldwide. The dolls are now carried by 80 plus retailers across Canada, the US, and Australia. The dolls have been featured in the Toy Insider Gift Guide, Good Housekeeping, and HuffPost, recognized by Mom's Choice Awards, NAPPA, and Astra. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on The Color of Success. I feel like it's a long time coming because we have so many people that we jointly know, and I've been following your journey for quite a bit, and so super excited to get into kind of how you founded the company and what it's meant to you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so you mean just starting off like how we got started?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So actually I was a wedding photographer before, but I always feel like I've been a creative person. Before that, before I got into wedding photography, I was actually working in corporate. So I felt like I always wanted to do something different to make an impact on people. So when I became a wedding photographer, I really liked being able to create joy in people's lives. But I felt like I was really limited to one wedding at a time that I could make an impact. It was already on my mind that I wanted to do something bigger. And when the pandemic hit, I was really out of the job. Like I couldn't work because of all the weddings that were canceled and postponed. And I was just really stuck at home with my daughter watching all that was happening in the world. It was crazy times. And I just was really struck with all those feelings that I kind of just like pushed away, like feelings of shame and invisibility and feeling othered, really just came back all over again. And I just thought, like, because my daughter was not even one at the time, and I was just thinking, wow, like what a world I've brought her into, and like how I don't want her to relive like what I did growing up. And as we were stuck at home, I felt like, she needed some friends. I wanted her to have some friends. And I was just looking for some dolls, and I just realized, oh my gosh, like how lacking in diversity and like true representation there was out there. And I just was so surprised how difficult it was to find something that I could truly be proud of and be able to act as like a passageway for us to like talk about culture in a way that it instills pride.
What did you go through that kind of inspired you to want something different for your daughters? Because I have two daughters. They're quite a bit older than what you're talking about. They still will have the dolls and love them. My daughter's loves Jellycats. I think this will be a good addition. But yeah, what did you experience growing up?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I experienced anything like too harshly, but I still remember like even in school, like really young, like people saying ching chong and like doing, funny things with your eyes. And I just knew that I was different, and I knew that I wasn't like the most people in my class. Like I stood out, and didn't like fit in. And I just remember always feeling like, oh, I wish I was born with blonde hair and as pretty as my classmates. And I think that really stays with you and carries with you of like how you see yourself in the world. And I never thought of myself as someone that could just like really be someone that leads or someone that is like, I just thought I was someone that was meant to be on the sidelines.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's very powerful because it's like internalized racism, right? And just like not being one of the only or the only is just so rough because you're trying to reflect yourself through your friends and all that. And so, and by the way, you're gorgeous. So don't let anyone dim that light. I mean, I think it's very different because I grew up with very diverse friends and also very large Asian community in the Bay Area. So I think it does really impact you when you don't see yourself represented. So, but tell me about the transition from wedding photographer. Obviously, you could take gorgeous pictures of the dolls and build that social media presence, but I mean, that is such a difficult transition to then go into building a company from scratch.
Yeah, absolutely. So, especially because I had no idea about like manufacturing and what that like even to this day I'm like still a really terrible sewer. Like and so for me to like learn about all the different things about prototyping and all that goes into production, and so I really had to learn like just be really humble and just like learn everything, but also just like the world of e-commerce, the world of toys, just the like just even social, like yes, I did a little bit of social media for my wedding photography business, but it's definitely the marketing game that you have to play for the world of e-commerce is so different, because my wedding photography business really stood by on word of mouth,
Yeah.
and of course, like Joeydolls has been a lot of word of mouth, but it's definitely very different. And I think in the world of like entrepreneurship, where you're taught like in Asian cultures, at least with my family, it's like don't brag, be humble, stay quiet, don't ask for help. And then the world of like trying to be, out there in the world and like, look at me, like, look at what I'm doing.
Being a
Hey,
boss.
yeah, yes. And it's just like you have to always be screaming out, like, and it's definitely not my personality trait. So, and yeah, being a boss and like leading and trying to create that team, that, trying to push like what we envision, like Joey Dolls to be, as well as like, trying to continue to always make that impact. So I think, it's like always just trying to push and trying to grow as well. I'm always learning every day.
Absolutely. So talk us through a little bit about prototyping and kind of how you go through these iterations, because I think when you see dolls and they completely miss the mark, which yours don't, like they may not have done that entire process. So,
I appreciate you saying that. And that's something that, I put a lot of care into. And so, of course, like I try not to pretend that I know everything. So that's why it just takes so much longer. So to really like research and do it right. And so at the very, very beginning, like I knew that I wanted to create these dolls, but I couldn't really totally envision it the way that it is now. And we definitely went through like so many iterations. Like if you look at our first drawings to what it is now, it's so different. And I really am glad that we took that time to like really listen to the feedback and know what people wanted. And ultimately, this really, like, I really do believe that we are like fully a mission-based business in that we want to do what people want. And so that really takes a lot of like listening, researching, and iterating. So even with our first factory that I found, like I didn't even know where to begin, but I started reaching out. Actually, even before that, I tried to make the dolls locally, and I was just it took so long like for me to realize that I could not find like the right skin tones here. Like it just was couldn't believe like you can't find like different levels of beige and brown for just skin tones, and that is like let alone like the types of fabric that we need to make it like really culturally representative for the outfits. So all of that customization, I had to like really just go overseas where they had that expertise, and also, yeah, the ability to customize or just find in the market, in a way that we could, bring that cost down. But yeah, like all of that was a learning process, like even like trying to do the hair and get the skin tones right. Initially, we printed the skin tones and like, oh, that wasn't good, and then we had to go to another manufacturer, and like so it was really a process. But I think with because I cared so much about it that I'm proud of where it is now, and I think we'll still continue to improve as I learn more and be able to find ways to improve the process.
Well, the reception has been amazing. Like over 18,000 dolls sold. And I mean, how has your daughter received it as she's grown up?
Yeah, yeah, you know what? Just like even like 2 days ago, I saw them because we would draw like even as they grow taller, we would draw their how tall they are, and I
Yes.
noticed like they were drawing them on the same wall, like measuring out the dolls, and it really just feels like they think that these dolls are a part of their family, and they're always at the table, or they're all over the couch. Like, there's no room for me to sit on the couch. It's like they're really part of the family. And I was just even going back on some videos, and how my daughter was like, actually there was this clip where my daughter says she has the same name as me, and even though it's just like they don't actually have the same name, but because my oldest daughter calls her Mei Mei, and she thinks her name is May, and I like the way that she lights up, like, and feeling like this is me, and I feel seen, and I feel like I'm recognized and loved. Like that is like such a different world to what I think I like. Not that my parents didn't give that to me, but I just like in that acceptance in the world, it's just so different. Yeah, so I just really, I mean, time will tell, of course, but I already see that like pride and joy. And like even the other day, I was asking my daughters what they wanted to wear for Halloween. She's like, I want to wear the same outfit as May, and I thought like that's so nice that they want to choose to wear their like Lunar New Year outfits that we reserve a Lunar New Year like at Halloween. But it's just like I think a special thing for them to wear with pride.
Absolutely. And I think, as you're talking about this and you're lighting up, it's like, this is exactly why you did this, right? And like, it's already a success. And everything else is the cherry on top. Because, I mean, I think about my childhood toys and I'm like, yeah, I carried around my big troll. I mean, it's great that, ambiguity in terms of representation, but I do think that there's something special about seeing yourself, reflected to you in your toys and being surrounded by that. So one of the things that's you're trying to, spread this message. How have you kind of gotten the word out with other folks that this is an important aspect of childhood?
Yeah, I think it's resonated a lot because I think there's so many of us have grown up with the same experience, unfortunately. And, we've had that, like, even receiving stories of even grandparents who are like, oh my gosh, like who are, told us that they were in tears seeing the dolls because they never thought that they would ever see their culture or themselves reflected. And they've gone through, so much of their life until they could see this. And I think that impact is really like, it's so special. Like, I think that, then people would want to tell others about it.
Mhm.
So far, we've been mostly online, like, trying to spread the word that way. But also we have about over 60 retailers right now that, people can come into the store. At the very beginning, I didn't know that I could actually make this a possibility, but it's always been a dream. Like, of course, want to be able to change that narrative and that experience for children to walk into toy stores and actually see their families reflected on the shelves, and not just see a, a shelf full of like one color or so like I think when I get the messages of people like seeing them in the store and like being surprised to see their culture represented, I think like that's so special. And I think being able to make that impact in that way, yeah, it's really special.
Absolutely. And I just met you today and like I was so proud of you because because I saw the dolls in local stores here in the Bay Area and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like it's already going to different areas of the world and people get to choose this beautiful doll, And so I think it can only go up from here and just that idea that we can put them everywhere and people will buy them. So that was a huge win. And I think part of that is understanding for folks that people's wins are not other people's failures. I'm reading the Let Them theory book. And so tell me a little bit more too, because you entered a very saturated market in terms of the toy business. Like there's so many toys out there now. I was like, I can't even imagine because back then we had very limited options. But what was it like to enter such a competitive sector?
Yeah, I still remember even like at the very beginning, like saying that I wanted to do this, and a couple of people who are already familiar with the toy industry were like, "Oh, do you? It's really difficult. I like try. Why don't you try something else? Stick to your wedding photography." But I really wanted to make a difference. And so I think that's what really just keeps me going. And yes, like you may see all the wins and the things that we've been able to achieve, but with every win, there's like 200 other times where I was
Yes.
like crying on the floor or something like that. And really, really comes back to like the why am I doing this? And I had to remember all the kids and the families that have been impacted and it's been truly meaningful for them, as well as even to see in my own family. And because I know how important it is, that was what makes me pick up and keep going. And so I think even going back to the first time I ever walked into a toy show, like just seeing the big brands like Melissa and Doug, like Lego, and I'm like thinking that's those same feelings of like, am I good enough? Am I supposed to be here? I'm not supposed to be
Imposter
here.
syndrome.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And even like looking around the room, there's no one that really looks like me too. And here I am with a bunch of Asian dolls trying to, sell to people that also don't know if they would truly understand it. So it takes so much of my like soul and being to like stand by it, because I mean deep down of course I do truly believe in it, but it really forces me to step out of my like comfort zone to like really step out there and show and tell people why it's so important. And it's great because like if I'm not there and if I don't show it and if I don't tell them, then they'll never know. And I think like, yes, it's like, when you're like the, the first person to do it, and it's always going to be the hardest. But I think, for so many families, we've waited long enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things is you may be the first, but you're showing other young women that they can be a founder, a CEO. And I guess one of the big things, being an entrepreneur is a roller coaster. That's an understatement. And so I understand like the why part, but how do you deal with those what I call meltdown moments, because it happens all the time to me, especially as working mothers. My joke is always like, I'm 10 seconds from losing my shit. That was the opener to my book. And I was like, it's so true because like you said, we see all the social media, the fun things that we're doing. But yeah, there are those moments where you're like, I'm going to go to the bathroom and just bawl my eyes out. Right. So how do you deal with those hard moments?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think it really does come back to the why, but I think it also, like, I've been trying really hard to find other like-minded um, moms who get it, and I think you really need to build that community so that we can all build each other up. And it's really hard because even in my neighborhood, there are not many other mom founders out there who get the experience of, what we go through. But I think, finding others that can relate, and also just being part of like other, entrepreneurial like groups or systems, like there is one here that has been like really really supportive, and I think being able to lean on that instead of, I've always felt like I don't want to be a burden, I don't want to ask too much, but it's just like they're there to support you. So I think we have to really, especially as Asians, is to like lean into those support as much as we can, without feeling like guilty or like as a burden.
Yeah, really asking for help. And I think that's hard for most people, right? It's like I'm struggling or I need guidance. And I think the thing that truly sets successful folks apart is they realize they can't do it themselves. They need collaboration and connection and support. And, I think representation is so needed in terms of mental health. And what's really great is when you see people that aren't Asian carrying around the doll and choosing to expand, their children's minds as well. There's the more dated but still relevant research study when you give female children an opportunity to pick a white doll or a black doll, and the majority, even if they are black, choose the white doll, right? And so just that opportunity to see like there are people from around the world and you can learn more about people's culture.
Yeah, and that's absolutely my goal. Of course, is not. Of course, this started all with my own family story, and it started off with the rise of anti-Asian hate during the pandemic. But of
Yes.
course, I think we want to keep expanding because it's what I've been hearing a lot. To take the time to listen to all. I read every message on social media. You call me crazy, but I
That's
do.
amazing.
I know, and we get so many messages about like, oh, please, like, we're Korean, El Salvadorian, or we're from Puerto Rico, or we get so many messages and requests because they love like what we're doing, and I think they want to see it replicated for their own families, and I hope that we can continue to expand in that way. So yeah, last year we decided to expand for the first time beyond our Asian representation, and we now have two Mexican dolls, which I think have been doing pretty well, and have gotten really great feedback. So I hope that with that we can continue to expand from there. But even just like working with schools who are teachers that are even buying the dolls out of their pocket, like just so that their classroom can have and see the dolls. And some of them have sent us like really beautiful pictures of their kids seeing the dolls, and even just getting a few testimonials from them about how like I never imagined that there would be a doll that looked like me, and all those types of messages. It's just like children are in school and they see their friends, and it's of course it started off with like representation for ourselves, but it's even beyond that. Like just like you said, it's to see the beauty of the cultures around you as well.
That really fuels you too to get those messages. So I understand why you're doing it, because that's part of the why of like, let me see the impact, the immediate impact that I'm having. And I keep a positivity folder, and stuff goes back years. Like I found my kids like handprints when they were in like preschool. And I'm just like, they've grown so much and it goes so fast. And we have a responsibility as parents to really have that education of people outside of our culture and within, and that's just an amazing thing to see folks buying them for their classrooms. I hope that libraries are doing it as well. Like that display that we really care means a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, last year I had the opportunity, like at the very, very last minute, that was asked to go on to Dragon's Den. And my first immediate response was like, hell no, I'm not. And they told me I needed a response by tomorrow, and because it was the final day, and I was just like, oh gosh, like I really don't want to go on that show, but it just stuck with me. Like this is my best way to get our message out. All I wanted was for out like children to come onto the show. Like I just imagine it like the girls with their dolls, like in their matching outfits, finally being able to see that array of diversity and representation on TV. Like that's what like really motivated me to go on the show. Like it wasn't ever about like getting a deal or me being on TV or anything. I just wanted that moment to happen, and that's what it's been all about.
Well, that purity, though, is why a large part they picked you, because you're not going on for narcissism. You have a healthy dose of narcissism and having to like gas yourself up. But I do think it's just amazing to see founders that are so humble and wonderful getting these opportunities, and it's not for self promotion. And I think healthy detachment of that is super, it sounds super important, but it truly is. So, well, tell us more about where folks can buy the dolls and kind of what's coming up next for you.
Yeah, so you can jump on our website, just joeydolls.com, as well as we have a range of retail partners, so that you may be able to find one close to you. You can jump on our website, that we have a section for our retail partners on there. But feel free to DM us on Instagram as well if you aren't able to find it and need a hand. But also, sorry, what was your other question? Oh, what's coming up?
Yes.
So we have 4 new dolls coming in like by the end of the year. So really want more boy representation. So we have a Filipino boy, Chinese boy. Then we also have a Hmong doll, and then we also have a Thai doll coming. We're still spending some extra time on her, and also beyond that, we also have like little tiny dolls coming, like little bag charm ones. So I've gotten so many parents who are like, I want one just like my kid, but I need to wear her.
You don't want to carry it around to work? Like what?
Exactly like this. Like, yeah. So those are coming. So I really hope that we can provide representation for, adults too. And we also have storybooks coming. So that was another thing that people have asked for.
I was thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're starting off with a Korean Dumby doll. She's going to have a story to tell a little bit about her, something on her outfit. So stay tuned on that. And I hope that, that will go well, and then we can continue to expand that as well.
Yeah, that would be great to time with Chuseok.
Oh, yes, yeah. I just really hope that, it just provides like a real immersive way for children to really learn more about their culture, and like for the dolls to come to life and really feel part of their lives. So I think, if we can try and, playful ways for children to learn about their culture, I think, yeah, that's what it's been all about.
We've come a long way. My friend actually made an American, what are those dolls called? American Girl dolls, and cut the hair, got sewed like clothes so that he could have his own doll. Like it was pretty amazing. So, and that was at least 10 years ago. So we've come a long way, and I'm glad that there's going to be male representation as well. So
yes, I hope. Yeah, a Korean boy has been very much anticipated too. I hope that's something that we can work on next year.
That's amazing. Well, Samantha, thank you so much for joining me. I know it's not always easy to kind of come on shows and talk about things, but just you seem like an amazing human being, and thanks so much for the dolls and sharing your story.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I really appreciate it, and it was so nice to be here with you.
Thank you for listening. We would love for you to subscribe to the podcast and join our community on all our socials at colorsuccesspodcast.com. Looking forward to you checking out my memoir, Cancel the Filter, Realities of a Psychologist, Podcaster, and Working Mother of Color, on Amazon and wherever books are sold. I'd love to hear your cancel the filter moments.
Give 'em more, 'cause when I'm on the field, you know it's game on.